Okay, it is 6 o'clock and we're going to begin. Good evening. My name is Rick Walsh. I'm the superintendent of the Plum Borough School District, and I would like to welcome everybody here this evening. And I'd also like to welcome others that may be watching this hearing at a later date. In compliance with Act 34 PA Code, this is our public hearing on the additions and alterations at O Block Elementary School. I'd like to introduce some people that will be presenting this evening. First, to my left, I'd like to introduce Dane Dice. He's with Dice & Associates, and he will be discussing the purpose, procedures of the Act 34 hearing, and he will also be facilitating public comment. To his left is Rob Resney. He's the principal at Hayes Design Group. He'll be talking about alternative considerations, description of the project, and the project cost. And finally, at the end of the table, we have Jamie Doyle, who's the managing director of PFM Financial Advisors. She'll be discussing the total financial impact of this project. So, Mr. Dice, I will turn this over to you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Very quickly, as Dr. Walsh said, this is the Act 34 hearing. The purpose of this hearing, as per the school code, is to gather public comment and input regarding the proposed construction project at O Block Elementary. This is the chance for anyone who would like to give public comment that will be recorded by a disinterested stenographer. That way the board and all other interested parties can refer to it at a later date. And I think it's also important to note that anyone who is not able to be present tonight who would like to give public comment has 30 days to submit such public comment to the school district. And if they do so, that comment will be included within tonight's public record. However, it does have to be within that 30-day time limit. Lastly, I would note that this hearing was properly advertised in accordance with School Code Section 701.1. And I think that's all I would have for introduction, Dr. Walsh. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dice. The next slide is the project justification and need. And I'm just going to summarize what is available on this slide, but I would also share that the information presented tonight has been presented at our public school board meetings on multiple occasions over the last year. This slide summarizes a multi-year facilities assessment study of the Plum Borough School District. The study, initiated in 2022 for O Block Elementary and Plum Middle Schools and expanded in 2023 to include Holiday Park, Pivic, and evaluated the physical conditions, the educational programming, and the spatial needs of each of these buildings. Key findings indicate that O Block Elementary and Plum Middle School have extensive deficiencies due to the lack of renovations over the last 25 years. While Pivic and Holiday Park are newer and have only minor needs, regarding educational programming and spatial utilization, Plum Middle School, Pivic, and Holiday Park have sufficient space. But O Block Elementary faces significant instructional space shortages. The study also explored full-day kindergarten as an option. The enrollment and demographic study completed in early 2024 revealed a stable district-wide student population. However, it identified an increase in the O Block region and a decrease in the Pivic region, which will alleviate space needs at Pivic but worsen classroom instructional space at O Block due to the current and projected increase in student population in the O Block attendance area. The district goal is to prioritize options that address instructional and physical needs with capital funding limits. The current decision focused on addressing the physical deficiencies and spatial needs of O Block Elementary School, as well as prioritizing physical deficiency projects for Plum Middle School. So for more information, I will turn this over to Mr. Renzi.
Thank you, Dr. Walsh. You can switch slides, Jen. All right, so I'm going to review some alternatives that were considered by the school district. As Dr. Walsh mentioned, as a result of the 2022 facility assessment study and the subsequent efforts to look at the other two buildings mentioned, there were several options that the school district considered to address the needs primarily at Obach and Plum Middle School. Those were the facilities that needed the most attention, as he mentioned. The options that they aim to address, as we talked about, not only the physical deficiencies within those buildings, but also where there were instructional space shortages, whether that would be needs that were currently occurring within those buildings, but also those that were looked at for the future for those buildings to support the student population, not only now, but as educational programming is investigated for the future, those spatial needs and shortages could be addressed. The options, there were a lot of things looked at. The options that rose to the surface were as follows. Option A would be, again, coming out of the facility assessment study, there were a list of capital improvement, so more or less maintenance items within each of those buildings. Option A was to address all of those capital improvement items, maintenance items within O Block and the middle school, and no spatial reconfiguration, no additions, no new space created. That was option A. Option B was addition and alterations to O Block Elementary, as well as capital improvements to both that building and Plum Middle School. So, you know, all the capital improvements at O Block would be addressed, plus reconfiguration, of space, so that the building could be better utilized, and then look at how much space is still needed, and in which case an addition would be planned. And then to address the priority capital improvement items at the middle school. That is also part of option B. Option C would be addition and alterations and all of the capital improvements at both buildings. So essentially everything would be done related to spatial needs, but also capital improvements at both buildings. So after much discussion and consideration by the school district, you know, from looking at maintenance and operation standpoint, organizationally, programmatically, and then finally from a fiscal standpoint, the school district chose option B. Again, the space needs in option B for O Block would be addressed. The space needs were higher at O Block. The middle school did not necessarily need space. It had all the space that was needed for the students. So this option addresses those needs, both current and future, also provided flexibility for future considerations for the district for full-time kindergarten could be housed in O Block. It also, you know, just better alignment in terms of equity of space throughout the building for both standard classrooms as well as special education classrooms within that building. And option B also had better alignment with the district's financial objectives. So next slide, please. So I'm going to go over just some basic project description, and I'm going to clarify here just before we dive in. I'm going to give a little bit of summary from an Act 34 standpoint of how they define project and buildings and the like. So Act 34 applies to all new buildings, so if a brand new building was built, but also to substantial building additions. And a building addition, such as O Blocks, needs to be evaluated and is considered substantial from the Department of Education standpoint when the addition is 20% or more of the size of the existing building. And there's a document I'll show later that shows the calculation of that. So in other words, when we're talking here today, this Act 34 really applies to only the new construction portion of O Block Elementary, which is the addition. Costs are not associated, that are associated to renovating the existing structure are not part of this calculation that we're going to talk about here today when we get to costs. So in clarification, when we talk about project, we're talking about the whole project here, but when we're talking about building, we're really going to be just talking about the purple addition that is on the site plan here. So what we're looking at the screen here is a aerial view, a site plan of the O Block campus. The existing building is at the bottom in yellow, and then the new addition that is on the rear of the building is the purple mass in the back of the building. The addition is about 15,500 square feet, which again is slightly more than the Act 34 percentage. threshold. Part of this project, again, is the overall project is renovating the existing building, handling all the capital maintenance needs, but also providing that new space, which is the addition, a two-story addition that connects to the back of the building. It has about 10 classrooms within it that provides the district additional instructional space, as we talked about, but it also provides them the ability to do some things within the plan that we'll look at on the next few slides in a moment. Also looking at the site plan, there's the ability to improve the site. So you see kind of a purple circulation loop around the back of the building. That's the improved parent pickup and drop-off loop that is around the rear of the building. We've separated that from the bus pickup and drop-off that is at the front of the building. More parking throughout the building, and one of the biggest achievements is the improved playground area and outdoor back court area and student exterior play area. Next slide, please. So looking at the plan, I mentioned with the addition, what this afforded the district to do with O-Block was to also, again, reutilize existing space within the building in a much better fashion. So reconfigure what's there, move some things around, walls and whatnot, save money so you don't have to build more new space, but it also allowed them to reorganize the building by grade levels and get all the grades, 5 classrooms per grade organized throughout the building. So you're looking at the upper level here, and then the next slide is essentially the lower level. Again, the new addition is toward to the back to the top of the page. Next slide, please. This slide, again, is sort of the Plan-Con PDE document that is part of a larger series of documents that calculates the need for the Act 34 hearing and the Act 34 process. Again, the district's addition at O-Block, the building is 15,357 square feet. The existing building is just over 63,000 square feet, so that nets out just under 23%. So the threshold was triggered and an Act 34 hearing is required, which is why we're here today. Next slide, please. This slide is also from the Plan-Con paperwork for the project, and I want to spend a little bit of time here and go back to the sort of the Act 34 thresholds and whatnot. But to give a little background here, a lot of this leads to costs, maximum project costs, and the maximum building construction costs, which were the board had voted on, last month to approve those costs. The district has gone through cost estimating efforts. Our firm, their construction manager, Eccles Construction Services, in April did a cost estimate based on the level of design and scope at that point, which was, fairly well through the design development phase and heading into the construction document phase. That cost estimate informed the paperwork that leads up to this slide here, which is essentially the cost estimate that establishes the maximum project cost. So on the right side of the screen, you'll see here the maximum project cost of $28,376,421. That is the total project cost, which is not necessarily to say the project will cost that. That is the amount the board approved as the maximum amount based on the cost estimate with contingency, inflation, and all the other factors that go into a cost estimate. So I did want to mention that sort of leads to this, the Act 34 thresholds. The other item that this page shows here, again, this is defining a little bit of the Act 34 legalities. Again, reminding you that is only the square footage and the costs associated to that square footage for the addition. Reading down the top of the page here, the structure costs, design fees, movable fixtures, equipment, and associated to that, $8,015,953. You subtract from that any site costs, fees on site costs, those are all excluded. So you get down to a maximum building construction cost of $6,250,074. That was the cost that was authorized by the board as the maximum building construction cost for the addition. Again, that is not the whole project cost or any of the renovations to the building. That is just what is associated to the addition. At this point, I will turn it over to Jamie Doyle to move into the financial analysis piece.
My portion of the hearing begins on page 21 of your booklet, if you're following along in there. And our job as independent financial advisor to the school district is to determine the most cost-effective way to pay for the project. So we analyzed 4 different alternatives. We first looked at cash or a short-term loan, which was not feasible given the size and the scope of the overall project. We then looked at the 3 long-term methods of financing, which consist of the general obligation bond issue, an issue through a local authority, or a financing through the state public school building authority, and determined the least costly alternative for financing the project is in fact the general obligation bond issue. If you go to the top of the next page, you'll see that comparison and analysis of those 3 long-term financing structures. Also, as we looked for other ways to reduce the debt service and local effort needed to fund the project, the school district already issued the series of 2024 bonds. They utilized a wraparound debt service structure on those bonds, and will consider the use of a wraparound structure on 2 future issues in calendar year 2025 and 2026 to fully fund the project. They also utilized bond insurance on the 2024 bond issue and will likewise consider bond insurance on the 2 future issues, which will increase the credit rating and marketability of the future bonds and decrease the rate of interest that the school district pays on said bonds. We will look at 3 tables in a minute. This was a 3-step financing plan. So again, table 1 will be the series of 2024 that the district already locked in. Table 2 will be the series of 2025, which is an estimate in this hearing booklet, just under 10 million. And table 3 will be the future series of 2026, about $9.7 million. And all 3 of those issues would be needed to fully fund the project. If you look at the top of page 23, just pointing out that the district does not anticipate receiving any reimbursement from the state on this project due to the Plan-Com moratorium that continues to be in place. We have also analyzed any indirect costs that may be associated with the completion of the project and determined that they are estimated to be $110,674 each year. You can see that breakdown in the middle of the page. It's for things such as support personnel, custodial supplies, fuel and utilities, contracted maintenance and repairs, and insurance. And based on their collected value of a mill, which currently provides $1,560,228, when you do the division, the indirect cost will have a millage equivalent annually of 0.07 mils. That bottom section, calculating total millage impact of the project, you can see the estimated millage of each of the 3 bond issues that we just described. So the bond issues themselves add up to an estimated 0.91 mils, and then when you add the indirect costs from above to that, the 0.07 mils, all in, the millage equivalent is estimated to be 0.98 mils, so just under 1 mil. If you look at page 24, you'll see table 1, the portion of the 2024 bond issue that would be used for this project is about $7,140,000. You can see that number at the bottom of column 2. You can see the debt service associated with that and the millage equivalent for just that step of the financing. And again, the school district already locked this in, so they know the payments on this page to the penny. Then page 25 is table 2. That's the estimated 2025 issue. So you can see what that is anticipated to look like. And likewise, on page 26, the final issue, series of 2026, just under 10 million, 9.7 million, and that is an estimate as well. At this time, I will turn the floor back over to the solicitor for the public comment portion of the hearing.
Thank you. I think at this point, Mrs. Macro, you will kick us off with just the standard intro, and then I'll go over everything else for the hearing, and then we'll get to public comment. Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Macro. I'm the school board secretary. For citizens' comments, each person who would like to speak will be provided 3 minutes to speak. That 3 minutes will be projected on the screens that are here so you are able to track your own time, but I will also provide you with a 30-second warning when your time is coming to a close. This is comments for any residents within the Plum Borough School District who would like to share their comments, suggestions, or concerns regarding this project. This is not a time where you will have a discussion or question and answer session with this panel of speakers. I do ask that whenever you first come to the podium, please state your name, your residency within Plum, and then whenever you are finished speaking, there is a clipboard right here on the counter. If you could just write your name on there so I spell it correctly for the minutes. If there's anybody that would like to speak at this time, or did you have anything else that you would like to add, Mr.
No, Mrs. Macro, I think you just about covered it. Again, this is your chance to give everyone in the public to give public comments specific to this project as opposed to just general inquiries. And again, you will have 30 days for anyone who isn't here tonight that wants to provide a written comment. And it looks to me like we've set it up for 3 p.m. on July 24th. And if anyone has any other public comment they would like to mail or email in, please send it to the attention of Miss Macro. Her email, and I'll spell it for the record, is macroj@pbsd.net. So with that being noted, I think we can begin with citizens' comments. Thank you.
We ask you to step to the podium one at a time. First, that would like to make citizens' comments may join us at the podium.
Michelle Stepnick, 3020 Settlers Court. If you'll see that the $28 million for the budget amount for the project already puts us over budget for the monies that we've spent currently and going forward. And that includes the middle school because we somehow, the forgotten building, the middle school has been forgotten again. And we don't get $10 million out of the bond. We get $9 million and change because that's just how that works with the fees. So we're already over budget. And the building design, the schematic design that the public could see from the website and from what's been presented at board meetings, that was $26 million. Now it's not to exceed at $28 million. So we can come back and say we came in under budget at $26 million and all the frills and excess of things that are in that building and in that design still show up. I think the public's entitled to see a scaled down building. We need a proper space for our kids to learn. We have significant needs in other buildings throughout this district. And I would implore the architects to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way to stretch that money. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. I don't do that very often, Jen.
Is there anybody else that would like to comment at this time?
All right. Seeing no further public comment, I believe I will throw it over to Dr. Walsh.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have closing remarks and adjournment. Since we are at the close of the in-person public comment this evening, I'll just move right on to some final remarks. Just hearing comments this evening, it was mentioned that our middle school is forgotten. I might remind everybody that we're putting over $4 million into that facility this summer. It is not forgotten. We're going to continue to be fiscally responsible and address the physical deficiencies of that space. We want all of our buildings to be safe, warm, and dry at the end of the day. And I think it was clear in multiple public presentations that the learning experience at O Block compared to Pivot is not equitable. And I can discuss that from firsthand accounts. In 1980, I was a student at that time, Center Elementary, O Block. And there's some aspects of that building that still look the same. The roof is failing. Some of our most needy students in the district are at O Block Elementary, and they need specialized space. We believe that this plan that has been moved forward by the majority of the board is our best alternative to make sure that all of our buildings are up to speed. 2 weeks ago, or I should say at our last board meeting, the board approved the facility study for our high school. We are going to continue to have a district-wide facilities plan because it is not fiscally responsible to go 25 years without significant updates to our physical buildings. It is not cost-effective and it is not fair to our taxpayers. So I believe that the plan will address the needs, not to mention bring stability to the community. I remember going to Harding Elementary for 4th and 5th, Center, junior highs. There used to be 2, and then the high school. When I came back here in 2017, what I heard from community loud and clear was our children have been moved around from Old Holiday Park, from Regency, and this configuration of K-4, middle level, and high school brings long-term stability and adequate space to meet the diverse needs of this community. Not to mention, it allows future boards to have the ability to make a decision to have full-day kindergarten. That would not be an option without the plan moving forward. So I appreciate the feedback, and I also want to stress that, you know, Mr. Dice said about we have public hearing or public comment for 30 days. As I'm sitting here and I'm looking at a beautiful summer day in the borough, and I understand a lot of people could not make it here this evening, but it doesn't mean that they cannot watch this broadcast and provide comment. As Mr. Dice said, that public comment will be accepted in written form only until July 24th at 3 p.m. Comments may be submitted via email to Ms. Macro or hand-delivered to the high school security window to the attention of Ms. Macro. All the information that was presented this evening will be posted on our district construction website for all stakeholders to take a deep dive into the recommendations and the data and to offer comment. With that being said, this hearing is closed. Thank you for everybody's time and attention.